Beloved of the Lord, today is a new day, a fresh start, and an opportunity to position yourself for favor, breakthrough, and divine alignment. Have you ever wondered how 10 minutes of focused prayer in the morning could completely transform the rest of your day? Imagine beginning each morning with clarity, peace, and purpose, knowing that you are setting the tone for every moment ahead. Tell me in the comments, where are you watching from today? As you prepare your heart for this powerful morning prayer, ask yourself, what areas of your life are waiting for divine intervention? What burdens could be lifted if you invited God's presence into every decision, every task, every interaction? Let's take these 10 minutes together to realign our minds, strengthen our faith, and release every worry into His capable hands. Have you ever noticed how the smallest moment of prayer can ripple into massive change throughout your day? By dedicating this short, intentional time, you are not just speaking words, you are declaring God's promises over your life, opening doors for blessings, protection, and supernatural favor. I'd love for you to share in the comments one thing you're asking God to shift in your day today. This is your invitation to start each morning with purpose, to replace doubt with faith, and to step boldly into the opportunities that await you. As we journey through these 10 minutes, be open, be expectant, and remember, powerful morning prayer doesn't just change your day, it can change your life. If this resonates with you, don't forget to share, and encourage someone else to join us in this moment of intentional prayer. Start your day with intentional prayer to invite divine guidance. Beloved of the Lord, have you ever noticed how the first thoughts you entertain in the morning often set the tone for the entire day? When you wake up, your mind is like a blank canvas, and the words you speak, the thoughts you hold, and the intentions you set are the colors that begin to paint the picture of your day. What if I told you that taking just a few moments to intentionally speak to God, to align your heart with His will, could transform not only your mindset, but the outcomes of every decision you make today? Where are you watching from right now? And what is the first thought that came to your mind this morning? Intentional prayer is not just about asking for things. It is about positioning yourself to receive divine insight and guidance. When you pray with purpose, you are acknowledging that God is not only present, but that He is actively involved in your life. Are you truly inviting Him into your day? Or are you rushing through the morning with a checklist, hoping things will just work out? Imagine pausing, closing your eyes, and letting God speak into the specific challenges, opportunities, and relationships you will encounter today. Can you take a moment right now to visualize Him guiding your steps? The power of starting your day with prayer is rooted in alignment. Alignment means that your spirit, mind, and actions are all in sync with God's plan for you. How often do you find yourself feeling overwhelmed or uncertain because your focus is scattered? Intentional prayer creates clarity. It illuminates the path ahead and helps you see what steps to take and what to avoid. When you commit to speaking to God first, you are essentially saying, Lord, lead me, guide me, and let your wisdom direct my choices. Isn't it amazing to think that 10 minutes of focused conversation with God can set an entirely different trajectory for your day? Prayer also builds spiritual discernment. Beloved, have you ever faced a situation where you had to make a choice and you felt completely unsure of which direction to take? Those moments can be paralyzing, but when you start your morning in intentional prayer, you are asking God to open your spiritual eyes and ears. Are you willing to trust Him enough to follow His guidance, even when it seems different from what your human logic tells you? You might be surprised how God can shift circumstances or provide solutions you would never have imagined on your own. Another key aspect of intentional morning prayer is protection. Every day, challenges, distractions, and even spiritual attacks can attempt to derail your peace and purpose. How often do you feel the weight of stress or negativity pressing on you before your day even begins? By taking those first moments to intentionally pray, you are essentially surrounding yourself with God's presence and inviting His protection over your home, your mind, your family, and your work. Do you sense that shield forming around your day as you speak His promises aloud? It's powerful to know that when you start your day under divine protection, many of the obstacles that could have caused worry or fear are already neutralized. Intentional prayer also cultivates gratitude and perspective. Have you ever noticed that the mornings when you rush, complain, or focus on problems often lead to frustration later on? When you begin with prayer, you are shifting your perspective from what is lacking to what is possible. You are acknowledging God's faithfulness, His provision, and His goodness even before the day unfolds. What are 3 things you can thank God for this morning? Can you feel how gratitude alone can change the energy of your day? Finally, starting your day with intentional prayer strengthens your faith. Beloved, how strong is your trust in God when life gets complicated or when your plans hit unexpected obstacles? Every intentional prayer is a declaration that you believe God is in control, that He sees beyond what you can see, and that His wisdom surpasses your understanding. The more consistently you practice this, the more naturally your heart will lean on Him throughout the day, in both the ordinary and extraordinary moments. Are you ready to see how a small intentional act every morning can create ripples of faith that impact everything you do? Intentional prayer is not a ritual, it is a relationship. It is a conversation that sets the tone for your spiritual, emotional, and mental alignment. When you speak to God with purpose, you are not just preparing your day, you are preparing yourself to walk in His favor and guidance. How will your day look different if you take this practice seriously? Can you imagine approaching challenges, opportunities, and relationships with confidence, knowing you are walking in alignment with divine wisdom? Release every worry and burden into God's hands. Beloved of the Lord, have you ever noticed how quickly the weight of life can press down on your shoulders, even before your day truly begins? From the moment we wake up, worries about work, family, finances, or personal challenges try to crowd our minds. Tell me, what is the heaviest burden you are carrying right now? Imagine for a moment what it would feel like to place that entire load into the hands of a loving and all-powerful God, knowing that He is fully capable of carrying it for you. Can you picture that sense of relief washing over you? When we release our worries to God, we are practicing trust in the most profound way. Often we try to hold on to control, thinking that if we just manage things carefully, nothing will go wrong. Let me ask you, how often has trying to control everything only made your stress heavier? When we hand over our fears and anxieties, we are not giving up. We are acknowledging that God's perspective is higher, His wisdom deeper, and His ability to provide greater than our own. Can you feel the difference between carrying your burdens alone and allowing God to share that weight with you? Releasing your burdens also opens the door for peace to enter your heart. Beloved, have you noticed how worry can cloud your mind, distort your focus, and make even simple tasks feel overwhelming? By surrendering those burdens, you create space for God's peace to flow in. Peace that is not dependent on circumstances, but anchored in His unchanging love. Can you take a moment right now and feel that calm beginning to settle in as you imagine placing your concerns into His hands? Another powerful reason to release your worries is that it strengthens your faith. When we hold tightly to our problems, we often doubt God's ability or willingness to help. When we intentionally surrender, we are declaring that we believe He is able to work all things together for our good. Have you ever experienced a situation where letting go and trusting God actually led to a solution you hadn't even imagined? Think about that for a moment. What if your current challenges are stepping stones to something far greater than you can see today? Releasing your burdens also protects your heart and mind from negativity. Worry has a way of attracting fear, doubt, and even frustration, and it can impact your health, your relationships, and your productivity. Are you aware of how much mental and emotional energy worry consumes from you every day? When you consciously give these burdens to God, you are essentially taking the first step in guarding your spirit and creating space for positive, life-giving energy. How would it feel to go through your day without the weight of yesterday's problems dragging you down? Beloved, surrendering your concerns does not mean that challenges disappear. It means you are choosing not to carry them alone. Life will always bring trials, unexpected turns, and moments that test your patience and strength. Have you considered how different those moments would feel if you entered them with the confidence that God is already working behind the scenes on your behalf? Every worry you release becomes an opportunity for His guidance, provision, and intervention to flow freely into your life. When you release your burdens, you also open yourself to clarity and direction. Worry clouds judgment, making it difficult to see solutions or hear God's guidance. Have you ever felt stuck or confused because your mind was so crowded with anxious thoughts? As you hand over your troubles, God can speak clearly, giving insight, wisdom, and creative solutions you may never have considered. Can you imagine how much lighter your decision making would be if you approached it from a place of faith rather than fear? Finally, releasing your worries is an act of worship. Beloved, did you know that surrendering your concerns demonstrates your trust in God's sovereignty? It shows that you are acknowledging His power, His love, and His care for you. What if each worry you release is not just a relief for you, a declaration that God is greater than any problem you face? Have you ever thought about the joy that comes when you truly let go and let God take over? By practicing the discipline of releasing every burden into God's hands, you are cultivating peace, clarity, faith, and spiritual strength. Each worry you surrender is a seed planted in trust, and over time, you will notice how your days become lighter, your heart calmer, and your life more aligned with divine purpose. Beloved, which worry are you willing to let go of today? And how will that change the energy you bring into your morning? Can you feel the freedom that comes when your heart is unburdened and your mind is focused on what truly matters? Declare God's promises over your life with faith. Beloved of the Lord, have you ever stopped to think about the power that words carry, especially the words you speak over yourself and your circumstances? Every morning presents a fresh opportunity to declare what you believe, to align your voice with God's truth, and to release His promises into your day. Tell me, what is one promise of God that resonates deeply with your heart today? Can you feel how speaking it aloud might start to shift your mindset and expectations? When you declare God's promises, you are essentially choosing to operate from a place of faith rather than fear. So often we allow doubt, worry, and past disappointments to shape our thoughts and decisions. Have you ever noticed how quickly a negative thought can creep in and steal your peace? By intentionally declaring God's promises, you are reminding yourself that His word is greater than any challenge, His plan higher than any obstacle, and His love stronger than any fear. Can you take a moment to consider one area of your life where God's promises could bring clarity and hope? The act of speaking God's promises over your life is transformative because it shifts your focus from what you see to what you believe. Beloved, how often do you catch yourself looking at circumstances instead of holding on to hope? When you vocalize God's promises, you are creating a spiritual atmosphere around your day, around your home, and even around your relationships. Imagine the difference it makes to start your morning declaring, I am blessed, I am guided, I am protected, rather than rehearsing worries or doubts. What promises could you speak today that would begin to shift your energy and perspective? Declaring God's promises also strengthens your faith muscles. Faith grows when it is exercised, and one of the most practical ways to exercise faith is through spoken declarations. Have you ever realized that your faith can increase simply by repeating God's word over your life, even when circumstances seem contrary? Each time you declare His truth, you are reinforcing a spiritual foundation that cannot be shaken. Can you feel the confidence that begins to build when you repeatedly align your words with His promises? Beloved, have you considered that every promise of God carries with it the power to shape outcomes? When you declare His promises over your finances, your health, your relationships, or your work, you are not merely reciting words, you are activating divine intervention. How different would your day feel if you knew that every word you spoke was creating alignment with God's plan for you? Can you see yourself standing in faith, declaring that His favor, guidance, and provision are present in every area of your life? Another important aspect of declaring God's promises is protection. Words spoken in faith create spiritual boundaries and guardrails around your life. Beloved, have you ever felt the weight of negativity, doubt, or confusion pressing in on you? When you proclaim God's truth, you are effectively setting up a shield of faith, pushing back against fear and discouragement before it can take hold. What areas of your life need that protective declaration today, and how will it change your perspective as you go through the day? Speaking God's promises also brings hope and motivation. When you start your morning declaring His word, you are reminding yourself that no situation is too difficult, no mountain too high, and no day too complicated for His intervention. Have you ever felt that little spark of encouragement when you remember a promise God has given you? Imagine carrying that spark throughout your day, knowing that His word is not just a memory, but a living truth that empowers every step you take. Which promise of God would ignite your faith today if you spoke it out loud right now? Beloved, declaring God's promises encourages persistence and resilience. Life will always present challenges, and there will be moments when circumstances seem to oppose your desires or plans. How often do you find yourself giving up before seeing the breakthrough? By consistently speaking God's promises over your life, you are declaring that you will not be moved by fear, doubt, or opposition. Are you willing to let your words of faith rise above the noise and uncertainty of your day? Can you sense how that commitment strengthens your spirit and prepares you to persevere? When you declare God's promises, you are also inspiring those around you. Your words carry energy, and people respond to the faith they witness in you. Beloved, have you noticed how someone who speaks with hope and assurance can lift the spirits of those nearby? Can you imagine the ripple effect of declaring God's promises in your home, workplace, or community today? How might your voice, filled with faith, encourage someone else to trust God in their own journey? Finally, declaring God's promises over your life reminds you that you are not alone. No matter what challenges arise, God's word assures you that His presence, power, and love are constantly at work on your behalf. Beloved, how comforting is it to know that you can speak His promises and watch them shape your thoughts, decisions, and experiences? Can you take a moment now to declare one promise over your life and feel the hope, courage, and confidence that flows as a result? Align your thoughts, actions, and purpose for breakthrough. Beloved of the Lord, have you ever felt like you were moving through your day on autopilot, reacting to circumstances instead of intentionally directing your life? Many of us drift from task to task without pausing to consider whether our thoughts, words, and actions are truly aligned with the purpose God has placed within us. Tell me, how often do you stop and ask yourself if your daily choices are taking you closer to your calling or if they are simply filling time? Alignment begins in the mind, where every action is first conceived. Your thoughts have incredible power to shape your reality, and when they are in harmony with God's purpose, actions naturally follow suit. Beloved, what is the dominant thought that occupies your mind when you wake up? Is it one of faith, hope, and possibility? Or is it weighed down by doubt and worry? When we align our thinking with God's word and his promises, we are essentially planting seeds for success and favor that will blossom throughout our day. Can you feel the difference in energy when your mind is focused on the divine alignment rather than distractions? But alignment is not only about thoughts, it extends to your actions. Every decision, every step, and every interaction carries the potential to either bring you closer to breakthrough or pull you away from it. Have you ever paused and reflected on how your actions mirror the intentions of your heart? Are they consistent with the values, goals, and purpose God has instilled in you? Aligning your actions means intentionally choosing behaviors that support your calling, that build your character, and that honor the plans God has for your life. Can you think of one action today that could be more intentional, more aligned with your divine purpose? Purpose is the final piece of alignment. Beloved, do you have clarity about the unique calling God has placed on your life? Many of us wander through the motions of daily routines without fully connecting to the why behind what we do. When your thoughts, actions, and purpose are all in alignment, you create a pathway for breakthrough, favor, and extraordinary opportunities to enter your life. How would it feel to wake up tomorrow knowing that every decision you make, every step you take, and every word you speak is intentionally directed toward fulfilling your purpose? Alignment also enhances your ability to hear God's guidance. When your mind, actions, and purpose are working in harmony, you are more sensitive to his voice and more aware of his leading. Beloved, have you ever missed an opportunity because you were too distracted or focused on the wrong things? By aligning with God, you position yourself to recognize his direction, even in subtle moments or unexpected ways. Can you imagine the confidence you would feel knowing that your choices are consistently guided by divine wisdom? Consistency is key to alignment. It's not enough to align once or occasionally. Breakthrough comes when you maintain this harmony daily. Beloved, how consistent are you in aligning your thoughts, actions, and purpose? Are there areas of your life where you struggle to stay focused, distracted by doubts or the pressures of the world? Every time you pause, pray, and realign, you strengthen your spiritual discipline and create a lifestyle that naturally attracts favor, opportunities, and success. Can you commit to making this alignment a daily habit? Alignment also brings peace and clarity. When your life is out of sync, you often feel confusion, frustration, even anxiety. But when your thoughts, actions, and purpose are in harmony, clarity emerges, decisions become easier, and your path feels lighter and more intentional. Beloved, have you noticed how much more confident and calm you feel when your priorities are clear and your steps are intentional? How would your day, week, or even month look if each moment were aligned with God's plan for your life? Another important aspect of alignment is the impact it has on your relationships. When you operate in harmony with your purpose and values, you naturally attract people, opportunities, and situations that support your growth and calling. Beloved, are the people around you encouraging your alignment, or are they pulling you away from your focus and purpose? By maintaining alignment, you cultivate relationships that strengthen, inspire, and propel you forward rather than hold you back. Can you identify one relationship today that could benefit from more intentional alignment with God's purpose? Beloved, aligning your life for breakthrough is also an act of faith. It is choosing to trust that God's plan is greater than your own understanding and that every deliberate thought and action has eternal significance. Have you ever felt unsure about a choice but found peace after seeking alignment with God's word and his will? That peace is a confirmation that you are walking in the path of divine alignment, and it empowers you to move confidently forward despite uncertainty. Can you take a moment to reflect on one area where alignment could strengthen your faith and propel you into breakthrough? Finally, alignment requires awareness, intentionality, and discipline. It is a daily practice of checking your thoughts, evaluating your actions, and reconnecting with your purpose. Beloved, how intentional are you with your mornings, your plans, and your mindset? Are you allowing life to happen to you, or are you choosing to intentionally steer your path in harmony with God's vision for your life? Each day presents a new opportunity to realign, to reset, and to step into the extraordinary. Can you imagine the cumulative impact over time of consistently aligning your thoughts, actions, and purpose? Use these moments to cultivate peace, clarity, and favor. Beloved of the Lord, have you ever noticed how the first few minutes of your day can set the tone for everything that follows? If we begin our mornings in a rush, filled with worry or distraction, it's easy for stress and confusion to take hold before the day even properly begins. Tell me, how do your mornings usually start? Are they calm and intentional, or hectic and rushed? Imagine if you could dedicate just a short moment each morning to intentionally cultivate peace, clarity, and favor in your life. How might that change the way your day unfolds? Cultivating peace begins with a conscious decision to let go of anxiety and trust in God's plan. Beloved, how often do you carry worries about the future or regrets about the past into the present moment when you take a few intentional minutes each morning to pray? Reflect and focus your heart on God. You are creating a spiritual atmosphere where peace can thrive. Can you feel how powerful it is to start your day not reacting to life, responding from a place of calm and faith? What worries could you hand over right now, knowing that God is capable of handling them? Clarity comes next. When your mind is crowded with distractions, confusion, or unresolved concerns, it's difficult to see the path that lies ahead. Beloved, have you ever felt stuck or unsure about the decisions you need to make? Morning prayer and reflection provide the opportunity to center your thoughts, focus your heart, and gain insight into God's guidance. Can you imagine starting your day with a clear sense of direction, knowing that each decision you make is aligned with divine purpose? How would it feel to approach your day with confidence and certainty rather than doubt and hesitation? Favor is the final element that flows naturally when peace and clarity are cultivated. Beloved, do you believe that God's favor can shape not only your day but your life? When you intentionally create space for His presence, guidance, and blessings, you position yourself to receive divine favor in unexpected ways. Can you think of a recent situation where God's favor showed up just when you needed it most? How would it feel to intentionally invite that same favor into every moment of your day, not as a one-time event, but as a consistent experience? Using your mornings intentionally also helps you maintain focus throughout the day. Beloved, have you noticed how quickly distractions can pull you off course if you don't start your day grounded? By taking even 10 minutes to pray, reflect, or meditate on God's promises, you anchor yourself in a mindset that is prepared for both challenges and opportunities. Can you see how this small practice could help you respond to difficulties with patience rather than frustration? Which area of your day needs this kind of steady, focused energy the most? Cultivating peace, clarity, and favor is not only about your inner life, it also impacts your relationships and interactions with others. Beloved, how often do we unknowingly carry tension, confusion, or negativity into the people around us? When you start your day grounded in peace, your presence becomes a source of calm and encouragement for everyone you encounter. Can you imagine how much more positive your conversations and connections could be if you approached them from a place of centeredness and grace? Who in your life could benefit from the peace and